Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, October the 24th, race number 10 at Woodbine. Let's throw up the field for the third jewel of the Canadian Triple Crown, the $400,000 Breeders' Stakes, going a mile and a half over the spacious E.P. Taylor turf course. Remember to download free Formulator Pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. The Hopes of a Nation ride with the number 8 Mighty Heart, even money on the morning line, Mike, as he seeks to become the 13th Triple Crown winner in Canadian history.
Yeah, he's taken the first two legs, Dan. Did it with different running styles, too, right to the front in the Queen's Plate. Sat off it a little bit last time to win on the dirt. Now they're going to try to see if he can switch his form over to the turf, Dan. I guess that would be the biggest question. Can he run his best race on this surface going a mile and a half? If he can, he's going to be tough to beat.
That, of course, is the real question, because one of the wonderful things about the Canadian Triple Crown and why it's so difficult to win is 3 races, 3 different surfaces. The Queen's Plate, of course, on the Tapeta surface at Woodbine, the Prince of Wales on dirt at Fort Erie, and the Breeders' Stakes on the turf back at Woodbine. Mighty Heart has only raced once on the turf, and it's fair to say that didn't go very well. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Now, we are expecting a fast pace. I think the pace will be solid. Mighty Heart, who did take them on the lead in the Queen's Plate. The number 8 is expected to be close. The 11, Told It All, has speed, kind of stretch out speed. However, Cunal, the 10, is the horse that I'm expecting is going to make the running.
Yeah, I mean, there are some horses who certainly could show some speed in this race. I don't know ultimately, Dan, how much it necessarily has to affect the favorite, as we've already sort of alluded to. Yes, he wired the Queen's Plate when he won that race, but he doesn't seem like the kind of horse who absolutely has to be in front.
Meyer was claimed for $40,000 2 starts back, and in his first start for the New Connections, he ran this race going 6.5 furlongs, cutting way back in distance. He was a solid enough third. He really didn't threaten. He's last right now in the red cap, swinging to the far outside, and he's going to pick up some pieces late for a minor award. His Buyer's speed figures pale in comparison to those of the main contenders, and it's fair to say that you got to be worried about the distance a little bit. Maybe he can be forwardly placed.
Yeah, I mean, you have to worry about him stretching out as well as stepping way up in class for this. I realize that he's hit the board in all 3 of his turf starts so far this year, but he hasn't run a race that made me consider him to be a real threat in this race.
The number 2 is Enchant Me, who is still an 8-time maiden, second 2 starts back in his most recent race on turf. They tried Mighty Heart and the Prince of Wales. It didn't go very well. And I'm sure the connectioners are going to say, listen, this is a turf horse that ran on the dirt. I'm not really that concerned about the distance. He's going to have to stretch all the way out. His pedigree says he should get it, but it's tall order from a class standpoint.
Yeah, correct. His pedigree is for turf and distance, so I don't have any problem with them, trying to stretch him out back on this surface, but he hasn't run a race that's even going to make him close to competitive with these horses.
Maybe now's the time to jump on the number 3 Clayton, figuring everybody's finally going to jump off. He was well bet in both the Plate and the Prince of Wales, 3-1 in both of those races, and he gave Mighty Heart a good fight in the Prince of Wales last time out. He just came up second best. Do you watch these races and say, Mighty Heart has this horse's number, or do you see anything maybe in this horse's pedigree to indicate, well, turf might be a different story?
Yeah, I sort of wonder. I mean, I don't mind the Bodemeisters on turf at all. I didn't see, a ton of turf on the dam side of his pedigree, but listen, if he handles it, I think he's a major player in this race. At the end of the day, this horse has run well in every single one of his career starts so far. And while Mighty Heart certainly, ran better than he did in the Queen's Plate, Mighty Heart had overall a pretty soft trip in the Queen's Plate too, Dan. When I watched the Prince of Wales back and I realized that was a dirt race and this is a turf race, I would be happy to take Clayton of those 2 in this spot. Not because I think he's a better horse, but he did not have an easy trip at all in the Prince of Wales last time. Caught 4 wide on the first turn, made an early move, caught 4 wide on the second turn, took the race over. And while he was doing all of that, Mighty Heart was just sitting in behind horses, saving all the ground. And he came and ran this horse down late, but I don't think this horse ran that much worse, if at all, than Mighty Heart did last time.
Ollie, my boy, the number 4 is a one-run closer that would benefit if the time form U.S. pace projector is correct, and it is hot up front. He came from way out of it to win 3 starts back. And then in the Queen's Plate, that was kind of an inside speed favoring track. He tried to come from out of it with a wide run, and it didn't work out. His last race was somewhat disappointing. He's not good out of the gate. He's likely going to be last early, and I'm just not sure I love the Union Rags on turf.
Yeah, that was one of my big concerns with him as well. If he was by a different sire, I might have upgraded him a little, but I actually feel like this horse has some talent. He's going to need some pace. He's going to need some trip. And then he's going to have to, just try and transfer this decent form anyway. He's going to have to improve, but he has decent form. He's going to try to transfer it over to turf, and he just doesn't have a ton of pedigree for that.
Conversely, the 5 English Conqueror has a ton of turf pedigree and distance pedigree. He's by English Channel, and he scored his maiden victory in this race at Woodbine on September the 19th. A very game performance for English Conqueror, down towards the inside, the number 3. Trip kind of worked out for this horse, but again, very, very game to keep on fighting.
Yeah, he did really dig in gamely here. He looked beat by 3 different horses at different points in this race, Dan, but he just wouldn't let anybody get by him. And he winds up hanging on right down to the wire there. He's going to have to improve to go with these horses. But as you've already mentioned, he has the pedigree to really handle this distance.
Glorious Tribute was 94-1 in the Queen's Plate. He is 30-1 on the morning line here in the Breeders' Stakes. He's run on turf a couple of times to no avail. 1 for 10 lifetime, perhaps limited upside.
Yeah, I didn't see the upside for this horse, and he just doesn't really look like a really nice fit in this race either.
Deviant was a stakes winner at 2 on the turf at Louisiana Downs. I wonder if he's gone forward from that race. From a buyer speed figure standpoint, you would say no. His last race, though, came off of a long layoff in the Queenston sprinting. I wonder if that was just a prep, but boy, a prep for a really tough assignment, stretching out 5/8 of a mile and switching back to turf.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, things haven't, really gone his way, I guess, so far as a 3-year-old. He only got that 1 start in back in January. And that was a race that had a really fast pace in front of him. They figured it was going to set up his run, but he didn't make one. And then he came back off of a layoff last time and didn't really do that much. He's just going to have to find a way to take a huge step forward here.
All eyes on the one-eyed wonder, the number 8 Mighty Heart. Let's watch his victory in the Prince of Wales. You mentioned the trip really worked out well for him. On the lead, turning into the stretch is Clayton. He made the early move that Mike referenced. Mighty Heart on the outside in the white blinkers is just going to keep wearing and wearing and wearing down Clayton, and he wins going away at the end. Some really impressive buyers' speed figures. 96 on dirt for this race, coming off the victory over the Tapeta surface with a big number. He's the horse to beat, but he's got to do it on turf. His one turf race was a little bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a really talented horse, Dan, and we'll see if he switches over to turf this time and can keep his forward momentum going, because if he does, it just feels like he's going to be pretty hard to beat here. Just based on his last 2 wins, and I'm not trying to knock this horse too hard, but I could certainly take a shot against this horse at a short price. He's run well both times, but I don't necessarily feel like he showed that he's clearly superior to some of the other horses in here. I'll put it this way about his turf race. I don't want to be too hard on him for it because, yes, he bolted, sort of heading into the first turn in that race and then just didn't do that much running after that. But he had also done the same thing in his prior race, his debut, which was on the dirt. He just, did not take the turn as they headed to that first turn down at Fairgrounds and totally lost all contention at that point. It just felt like he was a really green horse early on, and he is not a green horse anymore. So I'm not going to hold the 1 turf start against him.
I wonder if the number 9 Belichick turns into the wise guy horse in this race, despite still being a maiden, because he's shown some ability in his career, and he is bred to run long on the turf. He was the runner-up in the Queen's Plate, albeit well beaten by Mighty Heart, and the jock kept him in behind horses turning into the stretch. It ended up being, I think, the right move. He could have swung wide. He probably still would have gotten second, but he stayed inside. He split rivals. He was on his wrong lead all the way down to the wire, and he was able to wrest second away from Clayton. He is still improving. He's certainly bred for turf. I have a feeling he's going to take some money, though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe he should take some money. He's run pretty well in all 3 of his starts, actually, but certainly in the last 2 since they stretched him out. I feel like you could make the argument for the maiden race 2 starts back that he was best in there. He made a really early move into that race and took it over. We've already talked about Ollie's my boy. You can go look at his PP so you know where he came from from way out of it and sort of ran this horse down late. And this horse, I thought he ran deceptively well in the Queen's Plate, Dan. I hear what you're saying about, staying over behind horses for the stretch run anyway, but he was caught over behind horses all the way up the backstretch and around the turn as well. And it just felt to me anyway, like his jock never really had a chance to get this horse to improve at any point. He only really got clear about the 8th pole. And then I thought he made a decent enough run to be clearly second best in there. He's really bred for turf. He's really bred for distance. I feel like all of these things could conspire to him being pretty tough in this race.
What a rags to riches story the number 10 Cunal would be. Let's watch his last race. This race, a $12,500 now winners of 2 Life claimer at Gulfstream Park. He wins for the 2nd straight time. This horse was stakes placed on turf at Woodbine as a 2-year-old. He was claimed out of this race. He's got speed. They're taking a shot, stretching him all the way out. And I really think Emil Ramsamy is just going to put him on the front and see how far he wants to go.
I think they're going to put him on the front too. I mean, if nothing else, you almost feel like with this owner claiming this horse for 12.5, that they might have claimed him with this race in mind just to see what would happen. He's won 2 races in a row. Now all he has to do is get a lot faster.
Told It All is the number 11, another horse stretching way out in distance that could be forwardly placed. He was claimed by the high percentage Norm McKnight outfit for $25,000 3 starts back. Immediately won a stakes race over the synthetic going 7. I'm a little worried about the 12 furlongs.
I'm worried about the distance with him. And I just, I wonder if he's really this good. I thought he ran fine last time going a mile, Dan, but even an effort like that probably isn't going to be good enough in here. I mean, we've seen Norm McKnight improve horses quite a bit in the past. Maybe he can do it again with this horse.
Rarely get a big price on a Mark Casse train runner. You get one with the 12, Muskoka Giant, a son of Curlin, that sold for $350,000 as a yearling and was a maiden winner on the turf 3 starts back. They ran him on synth after that. They tried him in the Prince of Wales. Maybe getting back to turf is just what the doctor ordered.
I like him coming back to turf with this horse. We'll see. Overall, I just didn't think he was good enough, Dan. But he's going to be a big price in this race, so I'm not going to knock him too much.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Breeders' Stakes, your race of the day. Look at you. Oh, the party pooper. I'm going for Mighty Heart. I'm going to be rooting for him as well. I just think he's better than these horses. You're going to try to beat him with the upwardly mobile Belichick.
Yeah, listen, I'll be happy if Mighty Heart wins this race, Dan, but this is a gambling game, and I'm not so sure that he is, that much better than some of these horses. Maybe he'll win. If he does, I'll be the first one to tip my cap to. I'm trying to beat him with Belichick.
9, 3, 8, and 4 for Mike. 8, 9, 3, and 11 for me. We will see if history is made at Woodbine. Mighty Heart seeks to become the 13th Canadian Triple Crown winner. Race 10 at Woodbine on Saturday. Your DRF race of the day has an approximate post of 5:43 Eastern. Good luck.